You're an elephant. You've walked this same path for 30 years. And today, in the middle of it, lying in the dust, is a skull. Not just any skull. You stop. The herd stops. And one by one, you each walk up and touch it. Gently, with your trunk, the same way you'd touch a sleeping calf. Nobody taught you to do this. Nobody had to. So here's the question that's actually a lot harder to answer than it sounds. Do you know what you're touching? Do you know what death is? Or are you just an animal reacting to a smell, a shape, a memory, with zero idea that one day you'll be the skull someone else is touching? This is the story of whether animals understand death. And the answer is way weirder than yes or no. Let's start with elephants because they're the easiest case to make and the hardest to fully explain. Researchers studying African elephants have documented something called the elephant death ritual for decades. When an elephant dies, herd members will stand near the body for hours. They'll touch the carcass with their trunks and feet. They'll cover it with leaves and dirt. And here's the part that gets genuinely strange. They do this for elephant bones and skulls they encounter that have nothing to do with their own herd. Random elephant remains, sometimes years old, sometimes belonging to elephants they never even met. They don't do this for rhino bones. They don't do this for buffalo skulls lying in the exact same spot. Only elephant remains get the trunk touching, the lingering, the quiet, so something is happening there. The question is what? Anthropologist and elephant researcher Cynthia Moss spent over 40 years studying the same elephant families in Kenya. She documented mothers staying beside dead calves for days, refusing to leave, touching the body repeatedly, sometimes trying to lift it back onto its feet. That's not nothing. But is it grief or is it confusion? Does the mother understand my baby is dead and will never move again? Or is she just running a broken loop, like a phone trying to reconnect to a Wi-Fi network that's gone forever? Nobody knows for certain. And that uncertainty is actually the most honest part of this whole topic. Now let's go somewhere you wouldn't expect. Crows. Crows hold something researchers genuinely call funerals. When a crow dies, other crows will gather around the body, call loudly, and sometimes refuse to feed in that area for days afterward. Researcher Kaylee Swift at the University of Washington ran an experiment where she placed a dead crow, a taxidermied one, on the ground and watched what happened. Crows mobbed the area. They called other crows in. Dozens would show up within minutes. And then, this is the part that should make you sit up, they remembered. Crows that witnessed a dead crow near a specific person avoided that person for weeks afterward, even when that person changed clothes. That's not random panic. That's a crow building a mental association between a location, a person, and the concept of danger that ends in death. They're not mourning in any emotional sense we can prove, but they are absolutely learning something from death. They're treating it as information. Chimpanzees take this even further. There are documented cases of chimps sitting silently beside a dying group member, grooming them gently, occasionally testing for breath by holding a hand near their nose. After death, some chimps have been observed cleaning the body, removing dirt from the teeth almost like a funeral preparation. Mothers have carried dead infants for days, sometimes weeks, the body mummifying as they go, refusing to let go. Primatologist Jane Goodall documented something even harder to watch. A chimp named Flint, after watching his mother Flo die, stopped eating. He withdrew from the group. He died himself within weeks, in the exact spot where his mother had died. Researchers who study this call it something close to what we'd call depression in a human. Whether Flint understood death the way you do is unknowable, but something in him clearly understood loss. Here's where the actual science gets interesting, because there's a difference between grieving and understanding. A dog can grieve. Dogs show measurable stress hormones, behavioral changes, appetite loss when a companion dies. But grieving an absence is different from understanding that the absence is permanent, universal, and will eventually happen to you too. Psychologists calls this second thing death cognition, and it usually gets broken into four parts. Understanding that death is irreversible. Understanding that all biological functions stop. Understanding that all living things die, no exceptions. And understanding that you, personally, will die too. Most research suggests very few animals show clear evidence of all four. Elephants might get close to the first two. Crows seem to understand something like cause and effect around death. But the fourth one, knowing that you specifically are mortal, that's the one almost nothing in the animal kingdom convincingly demonstrates, except maybe one animal you wouldn't expect. There's a population of chimpanzees that, when a group member dies near water, will sometimes avoid that water source entirely afterward, even when there's no other danger present. Some researchers interpret this as the beginning of something like causal death reasoning. Others think it's just smell, just avoidance of decay, nothing philosophical about it at all. This is the actual frontier of the science. Nobody can climb inside an elephant's head. Nobody can ask a crow what it's thinking when it stares at a dead crow on the pavement. We can only watch behavior and guess at the experience underneath it. And here's the uncomfortable twist. Humans do the exact same guessing about each other. You cannot actually prove another human understands death the way you do. You infer it from language, from behavior, from the fact that they built pyramids and write wills and buy life insurance. Animals can't tell us in words what they understand. So we're stuck reading trunk touches and crow funerals and chimp depression and trying to translate silence into meaning. Maybe that's the real answer here. Animals almost certainly understand loss, the hole a death leaves behind, the absence where presence used to be. What's far less certain is whether any of them understand death as a concept, as a fact about existence that applies to literally everyone, including themselves. You understand that. You've known it since you were a kid, probably earlier than you wanted to. That specific kind of knowing, the kind that makes you nervous at 2 a.m. for no reason, might be one of the loneliest things that separates you from every other animal on this planet. The elephant touching the skull in the dust might be doing the closest thing to mourning that exists outside our species, but she'll probably never lie awake wondering if she's next. You will.